So if you're ready for me to get started, perfect. So thanks everyone for joining. What I'll be talking about today is about studying at Sturt University and more specifically our regional campuses. So a lot of you might already know about Sturt University, but I'll be able to give a broad overview of the university, who we are, where we are, some of the courses that we offer, as well as talk about some of the advantages of studying in regional Australia. So why would you study at Sturt University? So Sturt University is actually Australia's 8th largest public university, and we have about 40,000 students in total, which includes both international and domestic students. We are one of Australia's most experienced provider of online education as well. So Sturt University was a pioneer of online education, which, as you can imagine, this year has been very useful for us when it has been sometimes not possible to have people in our classrooms. We have a very well-developed system online as well. So a large number of our students are studying with us online as well as on campus. We offer about 300 different courses at the university, but there are about 60 of these courses are open for international students on our regional campuses, mostly at the undergrad level and a few popular courses at the postgrad level as well. We have 5 campuses and they are in regional New South Wales. So I'll talk a little bit more about these cities and the campuses a little bit later in the presentation. But I always like to say these are growing regional areas. So there are smaller cities, but they are still very vibrant regional areas. And Sturt University for a number of years now has been the #1 Australian university for graduate employment rate, as well as starting salaries. And this is mostly because of the fact that a lot of our courses will have work placements. It's very practical learning. So that is why we actually get our graduates really ready to go into the workplace, and they find employment faster than any other Australian university graduate, and they have on average a higher starting salary as well. So I'll just talk a little bit about some of the areas of study very quickly, where we are, again, either #1 in New South Wales, in teaching, in science, in agriculture. And I'll talk a little bit more about the type of courses that we have a little bit later on. And what I'll do now is just talk a little bit about studying in regional Australia and some of the advantages of studying in regional Australia. Often international students, whether they're already in Australia onshore, whether they are offshore, it's very common that the preference is going to go to a big city. And, I don't know if you recognize the accent, but me coming from France, also initially I did not want to go to small cities of Australia. When I first came to Australia, I didn't know everything, and I only knew some of the big cities. And, it took me to discover regional Australia to really understand some of the advantages and some of the lifestyle as well. So typically in regional Australia, you will find that the cost of living is significantly lower than what you will find in a capital city. And the main item, of course, that is going to bring that cost down is going to be rent. Rent is significantly cheaper in regional Australia compared to a large capital city. You'll find that our cities and our communities on campus are very welcoming, and we like to say we're like a family. Our students on campus with our international student offices are really a little bit like a family all together in our campuses. We do have quite a relaxed lifestyle as well in regional areas. It's not that things are necessarily slower, but people do take the time to appreciate things a little bit more. And so you'll find that it is quite relaxed, and it's a great way to find some balance between study, work, and your social life. So as an international student, and once you undertake part-time work as well, you have a pretty busy week. So by being in a regional area, often you will save time because you don't have to commute long distances. So you actually get a more relaxed lifestyle by spending less time in public transport and so on. It is easy to make friends because a lot of our students are all as well, away from their families, including our domestic students that are on campus. And our students here find very meaningful part-time work. And what we mean by that is that often they stay in the same part-time work for a very long time. And they do say that it really helps them understand better the business culture in Australia, and that it really actually means a lot for them when they are working in these jobs. And of course, when you are in a regional area, you can benefit a lot more from the environment and the wildlife. So, I always say if you live in Sydney or in Melbourne, you're not going to be seeing very many kangaroos or koalas and so on. But we are very, very lucky in our campuses, and especially, for example, in Bathurst, where I'm located, you will see kangaroos every day on the campus. And so we're a little bit closer to nature and to the wildlife. Of course, some of the benefits is that and that can be a benefit or that can be a disadvantage depending how you look at it, but typically we have less numbers of international students in our regional locations. And so what that means is that often our students will make friends with Australian people, and they will have Australian friends, whereas we find that in the main cities, if there are a lot of international students, sometimes the international students do not make that many Australian friends. It's also a great way to learn about the Australian values. And a lot of our students tell us that they really feel like they're learning and they understand better real Australia because they are in the regional area. That, of course, all goes to really improve English language skills for our students. And I will also point out that by going to a regional area to study, our students may be eligible for up to 4 years of study work visas. So a normal post-study work visa when students study 2 years in Australia is a duration of 2 years. And when students go to regional areas such as our regional areas for Charter University, they can actually enjoy an extra 2 years of post-study work visa if they remain in the region. So that's a great advantage. This is just a slide that shows some of our alumni. And I like to show that because sometimes people think, oh, if you go to a regional university or area, what are your chances to find employment and to go and work for a big multinational company? And often there is this misconception that if you go to a regional area, you might not find a good job or you might not be able to work for some big company. And this is just to show that we have a lot of graduates and alumni that have actually worked in very, very important companies if that's what you're looking for. And this is just to link back and remember that Charter University is the #1 university in Australia for graduate employment. So you do have very, very good chances of finding employment in areas of your choice when you study with Charter University. So where are we located? So here on this map, which is New South Wales here and Victoria here in the bottom, you have our main campuses. Port Macquarie, that is on the mid-north coast, Orange, Bathurst, which are in Western. So Bathurst, for example, is about 200 kilometers from Sydney. So Sydney is just about here on the coast. Wagga Wagga is a bit closer to Canberra. Canberra is about here. And then Albury to Melbourne. But when you're looking at these are still remote regional areas. So for example, Bathurst to Sydney, as I said, about 200 kilometers, that's about a 2.5-hour drive. So these are all considered reasonably regional in terms of cities. I'll talk very, very quickly about each of our campus cities. Bathurst is the city that I live in. That's the campus I'm based at. The city of Bathurst has just under about 50,000 people living there. And some of you might know it for being very famous for a race car. The V8 race car, the Bathurst 1000, occurs on an annual basis in Bathurst. And I learned about Bathurst because of that race before I actually started to live here. It's our closest city, campus city to a big city. So as I said, about 2-3 hours from Sydney if you are driving. Albury-Wodonga is on the border between Victoria and New South Wales, and is very much known as a foodie town. It is also our first environmentally sustainable campus for Australia that was built in Albury-Wodonga, based on the Murray River. Orange is about 1 hour away from Bathurst, and we offer courses like dentistry, pharmacy, physiotherapy on this campus. Wagga Wagga is our largest campus in terms of surface and numbers of students, where any given year we have between 2,500 to 3,000 students. And most of the courses that we deliver in Wagga Wagga are things like agriculture, as well as some of our health science courses. Wagga Wagga, the closest city to it is actually Canberra, even though we have noted here, the distances and times to Sydney and Melbourne. And Port Macquarie is probably one of our more popular campuses for international students. It is located on the mid-north coast with beautiful beaches, and some of the courses that we offer there are going to be information technology, accounting, as well as some of our health courses. Port Macquarie has also a bit of a different climate compared to our other campuses, so you do not really get much of a winter in Port Macquarie. It's a little bit warmer, whereas in a city like Bathurst, for example, where I'm located, it does get actually quite cold in the winter. So Port Macquarie is currently where we have the largest number of international students in our regions, and that number continues to grow year on year. I'll go quite quickly over the courses that we offer. So just so you know, we do offer courses in arts and education, probably to mention, the Bachelor of Social Work. In business, we also offer accounting, business studies, a Bachelor of Information Technology, a Master of Information Technology, and Master of Professional Accounting, which are definitely our most popular courses, tend to be the Master of IT, as well as the Bachelor of Nursing. So Bachelor of Nursing that we have as well, and Dental Science, Exercise and Sports Science, and a whole heap of other health science courses like pharmacy, physiotherapy, podiatry, OT, and so on. So this is just, to go quickly over the type of courses that we have available at the university on campus. We have a lot of clubs on our campuses as well that our international students can join. So there are a lot of study groups, a lot of sports clubs. We pretty much say almost any sport that you are involved in or that you want to get involved in, you will find a club. And if you join these clubs, you will find that Charles Sturt University is often doing very, very well in these clubs and in some competitions with other clubs in the regions as well. There is an International Student Association, as well as several groups around either religious societies or music, films, and other advocacy organizations. Charles Sturt University has the largest network of on-campus accommodation of any Australian university. So what that means is that when you come and study with us on our campuses, it's very likely that we will encourage you to take on accommodation on campus. The cost of accommodation on campus will vary from one campus to the next based on the type of accommodation, but we do guarantee accommodation to our international students as long as they apply before a cutoff date. I will note, however, that accommodation is for single students only. If you are coming to the university with a partner or with family, we will offer you some off-campus accommodation options as well. In terms of IELTS, I'm not going to go in detail on that, but just as a general rule, our minimum English language requirement is an IELTS of 6, no band less than 5.5. And that is going to be valid for most of our undergrad courses, such as accounting, information technology, and so on, where most likely you'll be able to go in with a 6, no band less than 5.5. As you go into more specialized courses, this scores will go up to scores of 7, no band less than 7 for courses such as the Bachelor of Nursing, and sometimes higher if you're looking at some of the education courses as well. To apply to the university, just contact Blue Sky and they will help you apply to the university, direct you on which courses are going to suit best. So, Blue Sky has been a partner of the university for several years. So by all means, they'll be able to put you in touch with us if need be, or answer any questions that you have about our courses or about the application process, whether you might be located offshore or already onshore in Australia. I'll just touch very quickly on the Destination Australia scholarship that we have as well. So we are waiting on the Australian government to release the Destination Australia scholarships for 2021, but we expect that we will get a number of scholarships for our students. These scholarships are for a value of $15,000 per year for the whole duration of your degree. And in previous years, we have had several students apply and be successful for these scholarships. So keep an eye out for that. We expect that they're going to be released in the coming days or weeks. And because there is a requirement that students will need to be in Australia to study on campus, at this point in time, clear that onshore students will be prioritized to apply for scholarships in the February intake. We have another kind of scholarship as well that students will get at the university. There is currently the International Student Support Scholarship, which is a 30 fee discount for new commencing students in February 2021. And that 30% will be applicable on the first 2 sessions of study. So essentially, all students commencing with us in February 2021, they will pay 30% less during their first year of study with us. That is available to almost every course. There are only a very few exceptions for students coming to study at a regional location. So either in Albury, in Bathurst, Orange, Port Macquarie, or Wagga Wagga. Most courses are included. So if you're looking at the Bachelor of Nursing, the Masters of IT, the Bachelor of IT, all these courses are included and students will be eligible for a 30% fee discount. That 30% fee discount for those students that are onshore also can cumulate with the Destination Australia scholarship. So it is possible for students to apply for both scholarships as well. I'm going to stop because I've been talking for a little while now, and I will be, more than happy to answer any questions if you have some.
Hi, Delphia. I have some questions. I think I start the first one.
Don't ask me too many hard ones, just in case I don't know.
No, the one thing that all these campuses, they are the regional campuses, and they will be allow the student for 4 years post-study work visa, 2 years
That's
first,
correct.
And then they can extend if they are living in the same region. They can extend for the another 2 years to be staying in the same region. So there will be a 4 years post-study work visa for a student. They study any of the CSU 5 campuses in the regional Australia.
That's correct. And in saying that as well, Shagaz, is that the 5 points, the extra 5 points for migration also apply for all these courses studied in a regional Australia.
We're not promoting the migration, but we just passing on the
promotion. That's a fact.
Sometimes exactly that's the facts what we are letting the student know. But these are the benefit is there. If they change, they are later on if they want to have settle in Australia, and if they have mind change, so they can by studying of each of these campuses, they also get eligible to apply for 491 skilled regional provisional visa. So once they have studied there, this is one of the criteria this New South Wales State Nomination Department asks. they have you studied 2 years in the regional Australia. So that's meet the criteria, and then they can apply for the 491 visa, and that can lead after 3 years living there more and working, they can get a permanent visa. So this is
That's
the also
exactly
benefit.
right. And that's a great benefit because even if students end up not wanting to make available these opportunities, they are there for them. So if a student, undertakes a course with us for 2 years, and during their post-study work visa, in the end, they decide to go and work in a main city, they will still get that post-study work visa, and they will have benefited from a lower living cost, and in a lot of cases, a lower fee as well, because our tuition fees are also very competitive. I didn't list the tuition fees today in the presentation, but we have very competitive and attractive tuition fee structure with that 30% scholarship. So there are a lot of benefits in considering going not just to the big cities, but actually getting away as well. And it's a way for students to differentiate themselves from the very large number of international students that are coming to Australia. So a lot of benefits.
And I'm just you have already mentioned it. I'm just correcting myself that the student are eligible to apply for both Destination Australia as well as the 30%. So the
That's
Destination
correct.
Australia scholarship $15,000. On top of it, the student can get a 30% scholarship for entire duration.
That's right.
If they get the both scholarship, so that both scholarship will definitely is somewhere around it's the nearly about 80% scholarship.
Yeah, so I was doing the calculations actually for a Bachelor of Nursing the other day, and I was thinking, okay, if a student gets, so the 30% scholarship, and I didn't explain that, the 30% scholarship, if the student is eligible, it is automatic. They don't have to apply for it. It will be sent to them with their offer letter. So everybody gets it as long as they have applied for an eligible course. So I was doing the calculation for the Bachelor of Nursing, and our Bachelor of Nursing, is 28,600, I think. And once you get the 30%, your fees become under $20,000 for your year number one. And I was thinking, if the student then on top of that has the Destination Australia scholarship, the fees for the first year technically are like $5,000. And then the subsequent years, they wouldn't get the 30%, but they would still get the $15,000. So their fees will be about $18,000 per year, I think,
Yeah,
moving
no,
forward.
it should be 13,000.
No, you're right. Oh my gosh.
13,000.
Lucky I'm not trying to teach math. You're exactly right. So about $13,000, because out of the 28,000, $15,000 will be covered. So, that makes it a very, very good proposition if the students get a Destination Australia scholarship. Hope that we get the scholarships announced by the government very soon, because I'm so excited that we can give that to the students.
That's true. That's exactly. We have some question in a chat. I think we should ask the people to list their question in the Q&A. I think they can put their question in Q&A section instead of going in a chat. And we have few questions. The HR. I don't find my human resource related course in your list. Please do.
No, we don't offer human resources in our courses. Students often they will be doing is that so at the undergrad level they will be going into a Bachelor of Business Studies. A Bachelor of Business Studies has a lot of electives, so as part of that course they'll be able to pick subjects that are actually human resource subjects. At the postgrad level though, we do not offer this course. We actually offer it but online only, so not on campus.
But there's courses, I think Master of Commerce and the MBA that has this specialization in HR.
Yes, so these ones are offered at our Chartered Study Centres, which are based in Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. Actually, Sydney, Melbourne for these courses only.
Yeah.
And so I don't talk about them because they are the different locations, not the regional locations.
Yes.
So some of these advantages we talked about do not apply. Other than that, you are correct. The specializations exist otherwise in these courses at the study centres. Oh yeah, I just opened the chat so I'll be able to see. The 30% discount is available to all students, whether they are applying for onshore or offshore. The eligibility criteria for the scholarship. So there are two different scholarships that I talked about. The 30%, as I said, is pretty much offered to everyone who applies for an eligible course. And you will know that by the time you receive an offer letter. So there is no requirement for minimum marks or anything. You just will get it as you go through the application. As I said, there are only a few courses that are not eligible, such as Bachelor of Dental Science, Bachelor of Veterinary Science. The research courses are not eligible. For the most part, all our other courses, you would be eligible. So I think that answers a couple of questions there as well. The IELTS score typically is an IELTS of 6, no band less than 5.5 that is going to be required. So I believe that is also the case for the MBA delivered at the Charter Study Centres. And we do not offer engineering to our international students as of yet. So sadly, we do not have a Master's of Civil Engineering right now. I think I answered most of them. Aviation, no. So currently we do not offer anything related to aviation type of area of study at this point in time. So as I said, most of it is going to be business, accounting, information technology, health sciences is the type of study areas that we have. Keep typing your questions if you have some. Trying to find some maybe I will not know. Not you, Shayaz. You cannot ask me the hard questions. Job placements, that's a very good question. Look, of course, most of our international students are coming to our campuses with an expectation that they will be looking for part-time jobs and working there. There are some opportunities for jobs, part-time jobs on the campus, but I would say that the large majority are just outside of the campus because there are just not that many jobs on the campus itself. However, I'll also point out, talking about placements, that there are a large number of our courses that do have work placements as part of the courses as well. So I did talk a little bit about how practical our courses are. But for the most part, the part-time jobs the students will undertake will not be on the campus. They're often going to be just in the city that they are living in. And they will be very similar to what you would expect for students going to any Australian city, whether it be a regional area or whether it be a capital city. Most of our students will work in hospitality and retail. That's the bulk of it, working, in shops and restaurants and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so the requirements for the master's are that you need to have a bachelor degree that is equivalent to an Australian bachelor degree. So depending where you're from, again, Blue Sky will be able to advise if your qualification is likely to meet the entry requirement. But for the most part, we use a database where we check whether the qualification is equivalent to an Australian qualification. So that is how you meet the academic requirement for a course. And then on top of that, there is obviously an English language requirement, as well as other requirements such as the genuine temporary entrant requirement, which the agent anyways will help you navigate through. So work experience will come into play as well. None of our courses right now require work experience, but that can be considered as part of the admission as well. That's a very good question around, the specific entry requirements. Look, we always say it is better to apply and submit the documents for us to assess it, or for an agent to have a look at it and let you know whether someone is eligible. Typically though, 50% plus 2 and a 5.5 IELTS is unlikely to meet some of our direct entry into the bachelor program. However, you'll be pleased to know that while your friend might not be eligible for the Bachelor of IT or Bachelor program directly with us, for example, there might be a diploma that is available as well. In some instances, the diploma is available at the Chartered Study Centres, not in the regional locations, but there might be some pathways. Looking at it just like that, I would say no, it's unlikely that that would be a direct entry into a bachelor program. That being said, once again, a lot of this stuff really does need to be assessed by an admissions officer, or receive the advice from Blue Sky counselors to really get to the nitty-gritty of what grades were and how that meets the requirement. Same thing for the gaps. Look, we always say usually a maximum of 2 years gap is pretty much what we're looking at. That being said, a lot of it is case by case. You can have 1 year gap that is not explained at all, that you will consider, you know, would put you at risk of not getting a student visa, and you could be rejected if that is in combination with other things in your application. Or you could have a gap that is a little bit more than 2 years, but that the rest of an application looks really, really good. We believe that it's a very strong profile for student visa, and that we would accept. Very much the same approach with backlogs. Obviously, when you start to have too many backlogs, it doesn't look good. But typically, currently, the university does not disclose a number of backlogs, you know, that we accept or not accept. So that is all done on a case-by-case basis. I'm sorry. Well, the approach of the university that for now our admissions officers prefer to look at the overall quality of an application rather than look at just one element, which might be, oh, you have that many backlogs, so you are accepted or not accepted. I will say, generally speaking, you know, we have had some applications with a large number of backlogs. I'd say anything over 10 starts to be quite a large number of backlogs. But that being said, as I said, the admissions officers look at them on a case-by-case basis. So having less than 10 doesn't necessarily mean, you know, that you would meet all the GT assessment of the university. Yes, we do have research programs available at Chartered University as well. And of course, like any university, the research programs are highly depending on whether we have a supervisor available for the students. So certainly, you know, it is possible to do these programs at the university. We have a very small number of full scholarships for research as well. Often applicants need to apply quite a long time in advance for these, but there are 2 or 3 students, I think, every year that get a full scholarship, both fees and stipend covered for research in a range of areas. So we do have them in health sciences, in science, in business, in IT, in arts. That is really open to what kind of supervision we have available. As far as I can see, I think hopefully I answered most of the questions that have been posted onto the chat. You can also put them in Q&A. It's a little bit easier for us to see them as well. But other than that, I'm not sure what more you want me to add to this.
We have answered most of the question. And one
Yeah.
question, for the research one, is there in targeted specific area the university at the moment looking that they are looking the people in those area?
No, it's not specific. So even so from time to time, we might have a scholarship that is area specific, that is funded by a faculty. But for the most part, the scholarships are not discipline specific. They're just a competitive process to pick the students. So the areas of study and research that the students can choose are quite varied. There isn't a specific area that the university is looking for, but certainly, depending on the research proposal that a student is going to suggest, the university will have more or less affinity with that research area, depending on the supervisors and the university's history and competence in that field. Yeah, so civil engineering, switching to other courses, so there are a few options there. What I would say, the typical path for these students will be a course that we offer at the study centers, which is a master's of leadership and project management for students that have, a civil engineering background, would probably be the most common path of study going into a postgrad course. The other thing that we get is we do get a couple of students from civil engineering going into information technology as well, which is an option. So like with any application, when students are switching their field of study, it just needs to be very well researched and explained as part of the application, so that for us, we understand why the students wants to switch, but it is certainly possible. And yeah, we do have these scholarships that accumulate currently. At this point in time, it's a different area that does scholarships for current students compared to commencing students. So there may be bursaries and other types of things that students can apply for once they are studying with us. For the most part, if an international student is getting the Destination Australia scholarship, other than this 30% scholarship, they will not be able to apply for many other scholarships afterwards. They will be not eligible anymore, but they may be eligible depending on which scholarships come up. So with any university, scholarships and bursaries change all the time. So even as a current student, you really want to keep aware of what's available and what you might be eligible to apply for. And they will have different conditions. Some of them you can accumulate, and some of them you can just stack them as well. It's my very great pleasure to answer your questions.
Thank you, Zishan. One question, can we give any student can apply for the Australian destination scholarship? Is there any criteria they have to be meet, or?
Oh yeah, what they need to do. So currently, I don't know which courses will be eligible or not. So because we are waiting on the Australian government to actually get back to us with how many scholarships we have, which areas of study. Sometimes it has been in the past, it was campus specific as well. This year we have done a submission that is much less specific. So we're hoping that it's going to be a little bit wider. The criteria to apply and be successful in Destination Australia is that, well, obviously you will need to be eligible for the course. So you do need to have an offer for the course that you have picked. There is no academic or English language requirement for Destination Australia. There are two questions that are asked as part of Destination Australia scholarship. The first one is, why have you decided to go and study in regional Australia at Sturt University? And then after that, I think the second question is, what do you intend to do after you complete your course, and will you remain in regional Australia? So once again, you have to remember that the Destination Australia scholarship is provided by the Australian government to encourage international students to go and study in regional areas, which often is not their number one choice. So these questions are really about our students demonstrating why they're interested in regional Australia and why they have chosen to go to regional Australia, and what are their plans for remaining in regional Australia in the future. I will say that in the past, we have not had a single applicant for Destination Australia not be successful if they were eligible for it. And by eligible, I mean they applied for a course that was covered or a campus that was covered. But it remains technically a competitive scholarship. So what that means is that, let's say this year, instead of last year, I think, I can't even remember, I think we got 40 scholarships or something. Let's say this year we get again 40 scholarships and we get 50 applications. The scholarship office do rank the applications and pick the ones that they feel have answered the questions the best, but it is not based on grade or on English or on that sort of stuff. It is entirely based on how students answer these questions. So it's an easier application, but we do recommend for students to, you know, think about their answers and so on before they submit it, so that they have better chances to get the scholarship. As I said, we've not had anyone not get it, but technically, if we get more applications and we have scholarships, we would have some students that are unsuccessful. Any other questions? I'll stop sharing my screen as well, so I can see you a little bit better.
I think Delphine, I think we should stop the Facebook Live now, so they
Okay.
don't have anything there, so that recording will be there just for